119 seconds, 1 minute and 59 seconds. That is how long it took for Ted Lieu to destroy Stephen Miller's credibility with a single audit report and one question Miller could not answer. If you are new here, hit subscribe right now, because what you are about to witness is the moment a $2.8 billion lie unraveled in real time, documented by the Department of Homeland Security's own Inspector General, with photographs that prove the money vanished and the work never happened. House Oversight Committee, room 2154, Thursday morning, 10:47 a.m. Eastern. The hearing was listed as routine oversight of ICE detention facility infrastructure routine. That word appears on every hearing agenda, and it is always wrong. Ted Lieu arrived 30 minutes early. He carried a black leather portfolio. Thick, heavy security waved him through. They recognized him. They knew he never brought props, unless he had something devastating. Miller walked in 15 minutes later, standard entourage, 2 attorneys, 1 senior aide that controlled confidence. He always projects. Shoulders back, chin level. The man who had survived 100 hearings and thought he could survive one more. He adjusted his tie twice while waiting for the session to start. Small tell, more nervous than he looked. The first hour unfolded exactly as Miller expected. Questions about facility capacity, detention protocols, contract oversight procedures. Miller delivered smooth answers. Professional, prepared. He cited regulation numbers from memory. He referenced Dow reports. He even corrected a congressman's terminology once politely, the way someone does when they want to demonstrate expertise. He thought he was in control. Then Lieu took the microphone and everything changed. Lieu opened the portfolio, not rushed. Deliberate. He pulled out a document, blue cover, official seal. Department of Homeland Security Office of Inspector General, stamped across the top. He set it on the table with enough force that the microphone caught the sound. Solid, heavy reel. This is a forensic audit completed 6 weeks ago. It covers fiscal year 2024 ICE detention facility infrastructure spending, specifically $2.8 billion allocated for facility upgrades across 87 detention centers. The audit took 11 months. The IG sent inspectors to every single location, all 87 facilities. They photographed, measured, documented, interviewed contractors and site supervisors. She opened the report. According to ICE contracts, $2.8 billion was dispersed for comprehensive facility upgrades, new HVAC systems, updated security infrastructure, medical facility improvements, cell block renovations. The contracts were awarded. The vendors were paid. The work was marked complete in the federal procurement database. Every facility certified as upgraded and operational. Lieu looked up, but the upgrades do not exist. The room went quiet, not the polite quiet of waiting, the heavy silence of people processing a number so large they need a moment to comprehend it. Lieu pulled out a photograph. He held it up to the document camera. The image appeared on every screen in the chamber. This is the Adelanto ICE Processing Center in California. Contract amount, $87 million for complete facility modernization. The work was certified complete on the 12th of October of last year. He set down the first photo, picked up a second. This photograph was taken by the IG inspector on the 19th of January, 3 months after completion certification. Same facility, no construction equipment, no new infrastructure, no upgrades. Just the same aging facility that existed before the contract was awarded. He set down a third photo. Eloy Detention Center, Arizona. Contract amount $63 million, certified complete. He held up the corresponding IG inspection photo. No work done. Fourth photo, Folkestone ICE Processing Center, Georgia. $41 million. Certified complete. IG photo shows no upgrades. Fifth photo, Tacoma Northwest Detention Center. $94 million. Nothing. Sixth photo, seventh. Eighth. He laid them out in a row across the table. 12 different facilities, 12 contracts, 12 completion certifications, 12 IG photographs showing absolutely no work performed. The total for just these 12 facilities. Lieu said $842 million paid, certified complete. Work never done. A murmur went through the gallery. Miller's lead attorney was writing something frantically. Miller's hands were flat on the table now, that controlled expression starting to tighten. But Lieu was building. He pulled out another section of the audit. The IG did not just take photographs. They pulled the vendor delivery logs. Federal contracts require every delivery to be logged. Materials, equipment, personnel, time, date, GPS coordinates for $2.8 billion in facility upgrades. There should be thousands of delivery records, concrete trucks, steel shipments, HVAC units, electrical systems, construction crews. He opened to a flagged page. The IG obtained delivery logs for all 87 facilities, total documented deliveries for the entire $2.8 billion in contracts, 47 shipments, 47. He let that sit. For $2.8 billion in comprehensive facility upgrades across 87 locations, there were 47 delivery log entries. The audit details them. 23 were routine supply deliveries that would have happened regardless. 18 were equipment rentals returned the same day. 6 were administrative deliveries, office supplies, not construction materials. 0 deliveries matched the scope of work outlined in the contracts. The murmur became louder. Miller's jaw tightened visibly. Lieu continued without pause. But here's where it becomes interesting. The IG did what any good investigator does. They followed the money. He pulled out a bank analysis report. All $2.8 billion was paid to contractors. The IG subpoenaed the contractor bank records. They tracked where the money went after it left the federal treasury. Of the $2.8 billion paid out, $1.9 billion was transferred within 72 hours to secondary accounts, not supplier accounts, not subcontractor accounts, secondary shell companies. He read from the report. The bank analysis identified 14 different shell companies that received portions of the $1.9 billion. All 14 were registered within 90 days of receiving federal funds. All 14 have no business history, no employees, no physical offices. All 14 transferred the money offshore within 1 week of receipt. The room was not quiet anymore. Journalists typing, committee members leaning toward aides, cameras repositioning. Lieu set the report down. $2.8 billion for ICE facility upgrades, 87 facilities, 0 work completed, $1.9 billion routed to shell companies, then moved offshore. And at the bottom of the master procurement authorization form that approved this entire spending package, there is a signature. He zoomed in on the document camera. Your signature, Mr. Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Executive Authorization, dated the 8th of March, 2024. Now, I need to pause here. If you believe $2.8 billion of taxpayer money deserves an explanation, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you have not already. Turn on notifications. We are exposing government corruption every single week, and this is just the beginning. Share this video everywhere because what Lieu shows next proves Miller knew the contractors were fraudulent before he signed. Miller leaned forward to respond. Congressman, large-scale infrastructure projects involve complex procurement timelines, and the certification process for federal facilities requires multiple stages of review that are not always reflected in Lieu. Cut him off. I am going to stop you there because I have not shown you the most damaging part yet. He reached back into the portfolio. This took significant effort to obtain. Federal subpoena, 2-month legal battle, but a federal judge ordered disclosure last week. He pulled out an email chain, internal DHS communications. The subject line, concerns regarding ICE infrastructure, vendor vetting date, the 29th of February, 2024, 1 week before Miller signed the authorization. The email is from a career DHS procurement officer to Miller's office. It flags 8 of the 14 contractors later identified as shell companies. The procurement officer writes, and I am reading directly, these vendors have no verifiable business history, no completed federal contracts, no facility infrastructure experience. Several share the same registered agent and formation date patterns consistent with shell company networks. I recommend immediate additional vetting before authorization. Lieu looked up. Your Deputy Chief of Staff responded. The response email is in the chain. Copy to you, Mr. Miller. The response says, and again, I am reading directly, timeline does not allow for extended vetting. These vendors came with recommendations from external consultants. Proceed with authorization as planned. He set the email down. 1 week later, you signed the authorization. $2.8 billion to contractors your own staff warned were likely fraudulent. The work was never done. The facilities were never upgraded. And $1.9 billion disappeared offshore. Lieu's voice was quiet, now controlled. So I am going to ask you a very simple question, Mr. Miller. When you signed that authorization on the 8th of March, approving $2.8 billion for contractors, your staff had already flagged as suspicious. Did you read the warning email from your procurement officer? Did you know these were likely shell companies? And if you knew, why did you sign anyway? Miller did not answer. His attorney whispered something urgent. Miller pulled away, shook his head once, number. And that is when the silence started. Lieu looked at his watch, pulled out his phone, opened the stopwatch. I am going to ask you one more time, Mr. Miller. and I am going to count how long you refuse to answer. Did you know these contractors were fraudulent when you signed the authorization? He pressed start. The room was completely still. 1 second, 2, 3, at 15 seconds, Miller's hands pressed harder against the table. At 30 seconds, the stenographer stopped typing. At 45 seconds, a phone vibrated somewhere in the gallery. Everyone heard it. At 60 seconds, 1 full minute, the committee chairman leaned into his microphone. Mr. Miller, you are under oath. Answer the question. Miller opened his mouth, closed it, no sound. At 75 seconds, his second attorney stood. Mr. Chairman, we need a brief recess. Denied. The chairman's voice was firm. The witness will answer now. At 90 seconds, Miller's face had gone pale, that small muscle near his jaw twitching. At 100 seconds, a colleague, Republican congressman from Texas, tried to help. Steve, just tell them what happened. Just answer. Miller looked at him, looked away. At 119 seconds, Lieu stopped counting. 1 minute and 59 seconds. That is how long you sat here rather than explain why you authorized $2.8 billion to contractors your own staff warned were fraudulent. That silence tells this committee everything we need to know. He gathered the documents. These audit findings will be entered into the congressional record today, all 400 pages. Every photograph of facilities that were never upgraded, every bank transfer to offshore accounts, every email warning you ignored. The Department of Justice has this report. The FBI has this report. And they are very good at following money. He looked at Miller one last time. You had 119 seconds to explain. You chose silence. That choice will follow you. The hearing did not really continue after that. Other questions were asked. Nobody was listening. Within minutes, the internet erupted. Lieu won 19 trending, news coverage, financial analysts breaking down the offshore routing, and somewhere, 14 shell company operators were probably destroying hard drives right now. This is not speculation. This is a Department of Homeland Security Inspector General audit. 400 pages, 87 facilities. Inspected. 0 work completed. $1.9 billion offshore. And 119 seconds where Stephen Miller could have denied it, could have explained it, but did not. Just silence. Subscribe now because tomorrow we release the contractor names from the IG audit. Every shell company, every offshore account, every dollar. This investigation is not over. It is just beginning. Share this everywhere. Hit that notification bell. And if you want to see how Massey used the exact same technique to catch Miller on the $1.4 billion border wall funds, watch that video next. 119 seconds. That is all it took, and it is all documented.